Swarna Bharat Parivar, after setting many records in the world, achieved another milestone in the process of creating new dimensions. Took another commendable step in the service of the society, which is not only making the future of the people, but also making their dreams come true. The purpose of Swarna Bharat Parivar is to fulfill the dreams of such people who have never got any stage in life. Swarna Bharat Parivar fulfills their dreams by helping such people to reach their goals of life. Swarna Bharat family created another record in Jaipur, a city called Pink City, 280 kilometers away from the country's capital Delhi. On the soil of Rajasthan, the Swarna Bharat family honored more than 200 people in different fields. Through International Internship University, Swarna Bharat Parivar has given standard titles to 56 people for their special works. To commemorate the birthday of Ma Roshni Lal Ji, which is celebrated on 8th August, scholarship of ₹1 lakh was given to 21 students in the convocation event held on 28th July 2021 under Ma Roshni Lal International Scholarship Scheme. These scholarships plays a very crucial role in boosting the morale of students and fuels them up to learn more.
आज का प्रोग्राम बेसिकली 3 चीज़ों पे निर्भर है। ज़रूरतमंदों को एजुकेशन कैसे दी जाए, एजुकेशन कैसे दिया जाए। वर्चुअल एजुकेशन सिस्टम आप लोगों ने नोटिस किया होगा, देखा होगा कि कोविड की महामारी कुछ नए अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ लेके आई हुई है, उसमें से वर्चुअल एजुकेशन है। तो वर्चुअल एजुकेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट हम लोग लेकर आए हैं, इंटरनेशनल लेवल पर लेकर आए हैं और 195 कंट्रीज़ में रन कर रहे हैं। भारत देश का एक को फाउंडर है, जैसे कि आप लोग मुझसे मुखातिब हैं पहले से ही, कि पीयूष पंडित को फाउंडर की गिनती में आते हैं आपके IIU यूनिवर्सिटी के। और ऐसे ही ऑस्ट्रेलिया के हमारे को फाउंडर्स हैं, वहाँ से काम कर रहे हैं। काम करते करते पता नहीं चल रहा है कि ये कितनी तेज़ी से विकसित हो रहा है। इसमें कोविड का कुछ लोगों का हाथ मानना है ऐसा, लेकिन मैं इस बात से इत्तेफाक नहीं रखता हूँ। कोविड होने के बाद भी वर्चुअल एजुकेशन सिस्टम बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से चलेगा। इसके पीछे एक सीधी सी वजह है कि व्हाटएवर यू वांट टू लर्न टुडे, आप तुरंत पा सकते हैं उसको एक क्लिक पे। ये एजुकेशन का जो सिस्टम है कि आपको कहीं जाके एडमिशन लेना, फिर आपको उसकी डिग्री मिलना, ख़त्म हो गया है। मैसिव ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज एक ऐसा कॉन्सेप्ट है, मूक टेक्नोलॉजी, जिसके माध्यम से आप इंटायर वर्ल्ड की किसी भी एजुकेशन सिस्टम को फॉलो कर सकते हैं। चाहे आप कैम्ब्रिज से आप कोई कोर्स कर सकते हैं, चाहे ऑक्सफोर्ड से कर सकते हैं, या IIU से कर सकते हैं। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि देश में मैसिव ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज पे करीब हमारे पास 4 से 5 ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म हैं जो वर्ल्ड वाइड फेमस हैं। आपने कोर्सेरा का नाम सुना होगा। तो कोर्सेरा एक ऐसा कॉन्सेप्ट है कि जिसके थ्रू आप कोई भी कोर्सेज कर सकते हो। IIU के माध्यम से फ़ायदा ये होता है आपको कि आप रियल टाइम एजुकेशन लेते हो। एक प्रोफेसर उधर से अपनी वीडियो अपलोड करता है और आपके पास पहुंचती है। आने वाले भविष्य में प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज़ भी पूछेंगी कि आप इतना फ्री एजुकेशन सिस्टम को कैसे प्रमोट कर सकते हो। तो अभी आप ये समझें कि एक्सेसिबल करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। सभी सरकारों से बात चल रही है कि हम एजुकेशन में, जैसे अभी सारे कोर्सेज हमारे मूक टेक्नोलॉजी पे लॉन्च है। मूक इज़ लाइक दैट कि सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स, SDG लेवल पे कोर्सेज, और डिग्रीज़ के लिए हमें क्या है, हर एक कंट्रीज़ की जो ऑथोराइज्ड सिस्टम होता है एजुकेशन का। जैसे भारत की बात की जाए तो UGC आपने सुना होगा, UGC मान्यता देती है यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को। तो अभी हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी यूजीसी मान्यता प्राप्त यूनिवर्सिटीज़ से टाई अप करती है कि हम आपके यहाँ की एजुकेशन को वर्चुअली प्रोवाइड करेंगे दूसरे को। आने वाले समय में हमारा प्रयास ये है, आप ग्रेजुएशन करना चाहते हैं, आप पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन करना चाहते हैं या किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी से रिकॉग्नाइज्ड आप डिग्री लेना चाहते हैं, तो वो डिग्री इंटरनेशनल इंटर्नशिप यूनिवर्सिटी की ही वैलिड होगी। ये हमारा प्रयास चल रहा है। लेकिन दो कॉन्सेप्ट हैं विश्व में पढ़ाई के, एक प्राइवेट सेक्टर और एक गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि अगर आप यूजीसी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड यूनिवर्सिटी से नहीं पढ़े हैं तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आपकी अपॉर्चुनिटी ख़त्म हो जाती है। विश्व का एजुकेशन सिस्टम ऐसा है जहाँ पे कि आपको पता होगा कि 95% लोग प्राइवेट सेक्टर में काम करते हैं, और प्राइवेट सेक्टर में काम करने के लिए आपको यूजीसी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड या किसी अन्य ऐसी इंस्टीट्यूशन से, गवर्नमेंट लेवल से आपको कहीं मान्यता लेने की आवश्यकता नहीं होती है। वहाँ ज़रूरत होती है कि आपके अंदर टैलेंट क्या है। ऑक्सफोर्ड का बच्चा इंडिया का IAS का एग्ज़ाम नहीं दे सकता। हमारे इंडिया का पढ़ा हुआ लड़का कैम्ब्रिज में जाता है पढ़ने के लिए और ग्रेजुएशन करके यहाँ आता है तो वो IAS नहीं बन सकता। रीज़न क्योंकि यूजीसी मान्यता प्राप्त उसके पास डिग्री नहीं है, इंटरनेशनल वैलिड डिग्री है। लेकिन ये इसलिए आगे बढ़ती जा रही है प्राइवेट लेवल की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ क्योंकि 95% युवा, 95% विश्व के जो यूथ हैं जो नौकरी पाते हैं वो जो है प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जाते हैं, और 5% ही पूरे विश्व में सरकारी जॉब हैं। तो 5% के लिए इंटरनेशनली आप देखोगे हर गवर्नमेंट की कितनी ज़्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट है, बड़े बड़े इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज, बड़ी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन खोल के रखते हैं। पर हमने क्या सिखाने की कोशिश करी है कि एजुकेशन सिस्टम को कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर से जोड़ दिया जाए, जिसे इंटर्नशिप बोला जाता है। हम चाहते हैं कि स्टूडेंट पहले दिन एडमिशन ले और उसी दिन से वो जॉब पकड़ ले। जॉब का मतलब इंटर्नशिप शुरू कर दे। वो जो उसको पढ़ाया जा रहा है वर्चुअली, वही चीज़ें वो प्रैक्टिकली जो है ऑनलाइन सारी चीज़ें सीखना शुरू करता है। 99% अच्छी कंपनी जो है पेड इंटर्नशिप प्रोवाइड करती हैं। अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 10,000 रुपये से लेके 50,000 रुपये तक को मंथली उस बच्चे को देती हैं जो उनके यहाँ इंटर्नशिप करते हैं। हमारे टाइप्स हैं हज़ारों कंपनियों के साथ में, वो ऑफ़र करती हैं। हमारे एडमिशन होता है, बच्चों को फ्री एजुकेशन देना बहुत आसान है। नियत होनी चाहिए किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी की। चैलेंजिंग है, बहुत ज़्यादा चैलेंजिंग है ये काम, लेकिन आने वाले भविष्य में ये हम करके दिखाएंगे। जिस तरीके से 1000-2000 स्टूडेंट एक दिन में हमारे यहाँ नॉमिनेशन ले रहे हैं, और आज आप प्रगति देख रहे हैं कि रिसर्च पेपर हमने लॉन्च कर दिया। पहला रिसर्च पेपर है हमारे IIU का, और आने वाले टाइम पे हर महीने एक रिसर्च पेपर लॉन्च करने का प्रयास होगा। अलग अलग देश के लोग, अलग अलग राज्य के लोग अपने जो थॉट्स हैं, अपने जो इनोवेटिव थॉट्स हैं, वो हमारे यहाँ पेटेंट कराने की बात कर रहे हैं, हमारे यहाँ उस रिसर्च पे निकालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। ये हमारी सफलता है। पिछले 3 महीनों के बीच में IIU को 195 देशों में पहुंचाने का श्रेय पूरी इंटायर टीम को है हमारी। चाहे वो ऑस्ट्रेलियन टीम हो, चाहे रूस की टीम हो, चाहे फिर अमेरिकन टीम हो, चाहे फिर भारत की टीम हो, सब लोगों ने मिलकर बहुत अच्छा काम किया है। और मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ आने वाले समय में एजुकेशन सेक्टर को पूरी तरीके से बहुत ही आसान बनाने का प्रयास है। हर एक बच्चा जिसके पास पैसा नहीं वो विदेशों की डिग्री ले सकता है, ये हमारा प्रयास है। भारत में पढ़ना चाहे भारत में स्वागत है, लेकिन पढ़ते वक्त उसको ये प्रेशर नहीं कि उसको फीस कहाँ से जमा करना। एवरीथिंग इज़ अरेंज्ड बाय IIU। सारी चीज़ मैनेज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। और जो कोर्सेज़ 1 लाख रुपए, 2 लाख रुपए दे के आप करते हो, चाहे वो SDG पे हो, चाहे इंटेलिजेंस टेक्नोलॉजी पे हो, चाहे ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी पर हो, हम लोग उसको $10 में देने का प्रयास करें। $10। देखिए, स्वर्ण भारत तो एक शुरुआत है कि हम पहले भारत को स्वर्ण बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि जिस देश में आपका जन्म होता है, हमारा प्रयास होता है कि सबसे पहले कमिटमेंट आपको वहाँ के लिए लेना चाहिए। वही कमिटमेंट आज बढ़ते हुए आपको 195 देशों में दिख रहा है। इक्वालिटी शुरू से ही पीछे पड़ा हूँ, इक्वालिटी की समानता होनी चाहिए। कि मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि दिव्यांग क्रिकेट जो है, चाहे वो नॉर्मल क्रिकेट हो उनका, चाहे व्हीलचेयर क्रिकेट का हो, उसके लिए जो आर्थिक अनुदान की आवश्यकता हो सकती है वो हमारा स्वर्ण भारत परिवार करेगा। और एक ऐसी टीम तैयार करेंगे जो विश्व में भारत के नाम को जो है बहुत ऊंचे स्तर तक ले जाएगा। ये मेरा प्रयास है।
The aim of IIU, International Internship University, is to lighten the burden of education, that is, free education, in which you will be given training through online process.
IIU यूनिवर्सिटी वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड वर्चुअल एवर यूनिवर्सिटी है, जहाँ पर आई थिंक 195 कंट्रीज में प्रेजेंस है, और ये बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक चीज़ है। अब तक शायद ऐसा पहले कभी नहीं हुआ है। इट हैज़ मेड द वर्ल्ड स्मॉलर, संसार बहुत छोटा हो गया है, बहुत आसानी से अप्रोचेबल हो गया है। कभी भी कहीं भी हम बच्चे बैठ करके पढ़ सकते हैं, और चाहे जो छोटी छोटी चीज़ों से अपने आप को रोकते थे, जोग्राफिकल रीज़न, फिनेंशियल रीज़न और जो छोटी रुकावटें, आज गांव का बच्चा या किसी भी शहर का बच्चा सब इक्वल है और हर तरीके से बेस्ट एजुकेशन प्राप्त करने के लिए तत्पर है। एज पर दी विजन एंड मिशन ऑफ द को-फाउंडर, एजुकेशन सबके लिए बहुत आसान होनी चाहिए, अप्रोचेबल होनी चाहिए। कोई भी किसी भी तरीके से अपने आप को रोके ना, अगर कुछ सीखना चाहता है, सीखने की चाह है, तो फिर किस बात की रुकावट है। तो IIU वो एक दायरा खत्म करके उन लोगों के लिए एक बहुत ईजी प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट करना चाहता है ताकि सब लोग हर तरीके से उस एजुकेशन को प्राप्त कर सके।
Piyush Pandit is not just a name. Piyush means nectar or sudha. As the name implies, so is the personality of Piyush Pandit. Rich with positive thinking, a person with vision, who is always ready to serve the society, taking positive initiatives to advance the society and the country, whose results are always positive. Initiated a similar thought. Wheelchair cricket team under Swarna Bharat Family Divyang Welfare Board. Players who are disabled have been included in the wheelchair cricket team. This is just a beginning. This thinking and initiative will change the attitude of the society, will show a new direction, and will create new records. The dream that Swarna Bharat Parivar Divyang Welfare Board has dreamed. One day it will definitely be fulfilled, and at the international level will give a new identity to the country. Kanchan Sharma ji, the patron of the Divyang Cricket Welfare Board, is standing with this team with all her self-confidence. Dr. Pareen Somani, the brand ambassador of the program, is also making a special contribution in the interest of the Divyang Welfare Board.
A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the respected dignitaries, distinguished speakers, colleagues, and all the participants of this conference present here from all around the globe. Welcome to this International Sustainable Development Goal Conference 2021, organized by one and only the II University. I, Ms. Rashmi Gupta, is the moderator for today's event. As rightly said by Mr. Edwin Harvey, a day without prayer is a day without blessing, and a life without prayer is a life without power. Before we begin our program, let us invoke the blessings of the Almighty, and to ask for His blessings, let us all join our hands. Let us join together and gather our strengths together as we devote our minds to the soulful prayer dance. What a reverent start to the event it is. I want to express my gratitude to have been given the opportunity to moderate this event and be a part of this historic International Sustainable Development Goal Conference. Firstly, I want to welcome our trustee of IIU, co-founders of IIU, SDG committee members, and our highly experienced speakers, and our lovely audience, and all the participants present here. We all know that IIU is a virtual platform and it has its work spread across the globe by leaps and bounds. And we want to know the work about IIU. We have a clear mission and vision, which I would like to express. And we have some strong pillars who are working behind the scenes for this IIU, the International Internship University. We have, under the leadership of Ms. Roshni Lal, Trustee of IIU, Mr. Piyush Pandit, Founder and Chief Operating Officer, India, Mr. Stephen, Co-founder from Australia, Ms. Mona Angia, Co-founder from Indonesia, Dr. Satnam, Co-founder and Vice President, Honorary Degrees Council, UK. We have our SDG committee members, Dr. Kalyani Rao, SDG Head of IIU, Ms. Nada Ratkovic from Croatia, Dr. Pratibha Mishra, President, International Advisory Council of IIU India, Dr. Prachi Gaur, Country Director and President, Training and Development India, Snigdha Kadam, Director, Academic India, Rabia Bhatia from India. In our Advisory Council members, we have Dr. T.P. Sasikumar, who is the former Deputy Director, Directorate General of Security, Cabinet Secretariat, Government of India, and many, many, many more to his name. We have in our Advisory Council, Dr. Vijay Kumar Shah, sir. He is a Padma Shri awardee, former advisor, Ministry of Health, Government of India, President, NRI Welfare Society of India, President, Community Welfare of India, Global Governor, Gandhi Peace Foundation, Nepal, and again, a list, an endless list that follows our advisory members. We have with us Dr. Pratibha Mishra, President, International Advisory Council of IIU India. She is an educational consultant to various organizations, motivational speakers, and there are many, many members in our IIU team who are working endlessly and hardworkingly at any point of time to make events and to make this virtual university a great success. Moving ahead, I would like to say, one day at a time, it's actually how we have been leading to spread the message through this 17 days International Sustainable Development Goal Conference. As we talk about it, the 8th Sustainable Development Goal, decent work and economic growth. I am very excited and I can feel the enthusiasm and the vibes amongst all the speakers. Before we set the platform for the speakers, I would like to tell you more about IIU. International Internship University is building a better and brighter future for all young learners and committed to provide better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. IIU metamorphizes on the conventional education system by cutting down the additional costs and providing access to more than 10,000 courses and internships to the e-learners across 195 countries and 6 continents throughout the year, with over 150 offices around the world. International Internship University is united in our commitment to provide exclusively free education to all the children and to the youth of this world under this global hub. IIU has been accredited and affiliated with the World Education Organization and collaborated with all the world's top universities and educational institutions through the platform of massive open online courses. IIU is providing various certificate, diploma courses, post-graduation diploma, post-graduation courses, and honorary doctorates. IIU has received many accreditations as per international standards for their innovation, vision, creative ideas, research, white papers publication, as well as national patents. Now talking about Sustainable Development Goals. I want to throw some light on them. Sustainable development is development that meets the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Thus, IIU invited all the interested stakeholders, innovative SDG leaders, schools, colleges, universities, organizations, government and non-government organizations for goal-wise deliverables. Today, we will be witnessing the plethora of ideas and knowledge delivered in various languages by many eminent speakers, change makers, and will become part of the historic conference showcasing the SDG goals aligned with the 5 pillars. By the end, I am very sure that we all will have many new competencies and tactics that we can put together in the right action. One such conference, and indeed a boon to our society, is given by the collaborative efforts of the co-founders of IIU and Mr. Piyush Pandit. Now, the motive we all are gathered here for are keynote speakers who will be sharing their ideas, views, techniques, ventures, and much more. I would like to give introductions of our highly experienced speakers now. Before I introduce our speakers, I would request all the speakers and all the participants to kindly keep your cameras on, as we would not like to have the memories captured only at the end. We would like to have some moments captured during the event is going on. So we would be really happy to connect with you when your cameras are on. It's better connectivity, and I think so that could be one of the SDG goal through which what we can connect here as well. Also, owing to being making this session more interactive and lively, I request all the speakers to kindly refrain from exceeding the time limit and put it in short as per the set times. I would like to introduce our speaker one, Professor Arup Burman from India. He's a PhD and a professor in literature from Assam University, Silchar, and IIU faculty member. 24 years in business administration, Assam University from Silchar. He has successfully completed 6 diploma, 4 UN PAN, 10 diplomas on research and development. And I can really see the hard work, and 24 years is not an easy thing, sir. I would also like to introduce our second speaker, Biljana Ilkoski from Croatia. I am really sorry and high apologies if I am pronouncing, there's some wrong pronunciation from my end. She's teacher of economic subjects and diploma in economy and administration school from Jalore. We have a third speaker after that, Dr. Rupali Dhamdhere from India. She's a PhD and principal of Trinity International School, holding experience of more than 20 plus years in the field of education, and strives to have 360-degree growth and development of a child. I think so that is the same goal we want to achieve through this conference. Our fourth speaker for the day would be Ms. Alka Singh from India. She's Master in Economics and Master in Education. Principal of Bluebells Model School from Gurugram, and deep-rooted commitment to education. My dear speakers, I give you a little time to get the platform set for you. But before I give all over to you, I would like to show you a small glimpse of IIU of what I had introduced. So here we have the IIU video.
What is education? Books? Classes? Teachers? Schools? No. Education is not that. It's beyond this. Education is a term that we have grown up listening to since we were kids. Right from the beginning of childhood till this very moment, we have been surrounded by education and its need and importance. A luxury for the rich. A necessity for the bread earner. A dream for the underprivileged. An aspiration for the suppressed. A distant reality for the inaccessible. The primary objective of education is to impart knowledge. Education also has its fair share in building the thinking capacity of people's minds. Hence, education supplies people with knowledge and facts and also encourages them to integrate that acquired knowledge into practical and professional lives via necessary training. Education thus also plays a primary role in supporting the economic, social and cultural sector of a country. It's a way to change the future today. The current education system can make people easy to lead, but difficult to drive, is either all academic, all physical, all virtual or all costly. Also, it makes easy to govern, but impossible to enslave. We cannot win over the future by sabotaging our present with extreme disparity. IIU takes great pride in saying that we're bridging the gaps in education system. We're not just academicians, but also practically oriented. We're not just limited to virtual classes, but also physical exposure. We do not dig a hole in the pockets of the students and their families. We're everything that traditional education hasn't been. IIU has already implemented and promoting the MOOCs technology. When we talk about MOOCs technology, it stands for Massive, Open, Online Courses. The word massive is to be understood in the sense that 100,000 learners or more at the same time have open and equal opportunities to attend these courses. MOOCs are truly a tremendous technological leap, and what makes them so attractive is that they don't imply any cost to learners. IIU has tied up with more than 100 universities to provide more than 10,000 courses to the students, free of cost, with the help of MOOCs technology. We're a revolution in the making, a wind of change. Education is much more charming and intriguing than the temptations of distractions unnecessary. Our education policymakers must look into the problem to make a better system which is more practical and provides hands-on learning to the students. Who are we? The International Internship University is a virtual university with state-of-the-art curriculum, real-life industry exposure, amazing student attention, learning-oriented resources, and most of all, a commitment to make the world a better place. Why do we exist? We exist to fulfill the necessity of the bread earner. We exist to help underprivileged achieve their dreams. We exist to fuel aspirations and accessibility. We exist to provide everyone the luxury of being capable of changing the world. We really do exist to ignite young minds and make them the torchbearers of tomorrow. For a better future. For the legacy of everyone who's left us. For the hope of everyone who's yet to come, and for the growth of everyone who walks this beautiful planet. We invite you to join our world-class educational team and platform with an altruistic dedication to creating the future. The change is so big that it would potentially impact millions across the world. Millions of children and youth around the world cannot wait any longer. Please join us in our effort to create the virtual learning generation of IIU. We're IIU, we're change. Welcome to our world, a new tomorrow.
That was a short glimpse of our IIU, and over to our speaker first speaker for the day. I request Professor Arup Burman from India to kindly take over. The platform is all yours, sir.
Yes, namaste. Good evening to everyone from the Assam and basically from India, and on behalf of the IIU family. And I welcome to all the participants, and already this is the 8 days already over. This is the grand international function from the IIU. So the decent work and the economic growth really has been selected by the university for the issue of a global cause, that is the sustainable development goal number 8. It was really a wonderful issue, opportunity for me to deliver at this particular platform. I feel this call for the first international SDG conference. This is the first time from the IIU. The topics are really topic, not the issue or the aims, whatever is selected by the IIU is a commendable one. In this case, I would like to actually highlight, because the time is very limited, the topic is the issue goal number 8 of the SDG, and that is the goal for the decent work and economic growth. As I am from the basically from the management and the economics, so I would like to touch only a little bit as a beginner of the theme, because the theme is decent work, and it requires a special definition what I understand and my attributes, what I can understand, and at the same time the economic developmental attributes also you have to connect it, and the connecting to the growth and development, and later on we can find what is the meaning of how we can go ahead with the goal by the 2030. This is the global goal, and I think because of the work situations and the decent work that we can create through the decent work. We can create the art, we can create the entire globe with the decent work, and at the same time through the economic developments we can create the decent work. These are vice versa, but the same at the same time, while we take into account from the perspective of economic agencies and from the perspective of the global agencies, even though it's look like a very decent work is a common terminology, very simple terminology, but it has the meaning is very serious and deep. I normally believe on that the decent work is nothing but it is a secure employment, fair wages, safe working conditions, and the social protections, labor rights standards, labor rights and the standards, and the social dialogue. So this is about the decent work. That means a work must have to have the secure employment, fair wages, and the safe working condition and social protection, labor rights, and the social dialogue. Now the question is that the same for the labor, for the work, basically for the workers at any work level. We can think about the starting from the agriculture, forestry, and up to the level of even the educational institution, top level institutions, where we can tell decent institution, but there are also problems of indecency. So that is the reason why globally these problems at the IIU and the international labor organizations, and they have selected very rightly. When I selected rightly to achieve this goal, it's a global goal. Now through this one, we can ensure the peace, progress, and at the same time, peace, progress, and the prosperity of the world. If we understand, because the many a time what is when the job givers are normally in the global experience is that job givers are at any moment of time, they violate the decent work-life policy. That is the reason why it is important, and at the same time, it's having a very, very critical implication. That is the reason why United Nations and the economics are basically looking ahead of the situations. So by the 2030, this is the goal. So the work agenda, while we see about the examples of a work agenda of a various types of countries, they normally, what is the work agenda of a country at the macro level? That is the job creation, right at work, and the social protection and the social dialogues and the gender equality issues. So this is the issue. These are the issues. Actually, at the workplace, because people are normally, because of the deprivations of the job creations or the right to at the work and the social protection, if it is not there, then the dialogue is not there. Gender equality issues are creating really the problems in the minds of the worker, and that is the reason why the workers cannot give the 100% to the work, and at the same time they feel deprived. So that is the reason why the issue of a the work agenda at the national level, and like this way India also, or at the all world levels, they are having their own work agendas, but how far they are doing, how much they are doing, suppose the job creations, how much, that requires a very, very critical examination. Right at works, how it is ensured, that requires a very, very critical examination. We have to see the social protection, how it is ensured, and the social dialogue, how it is ensured, and at the same time gender equality issues, how it is ensured. Again, even though it is mentioned by the reports, but at practical level, how much it is ensuring, that we should have to know. And this one works no doubt having connections with the economic growth, and it facilitates the sustainable development too. So the thing is that the economic growth and employment, the issue is that if there is a economic growth, then there is a employment, and in the employment, what is there? Employment connecting to the sustainable development is that the investment in the healthcare, education, or infrastructure like this. And at the same time, economic growth is connected with the environmental degradations also, because the more you are growing, then the environmental degradation may be impacting to the environmental degradation. So there is opportunities here, that without any degrading the environment, we should create the new opportunities, that is the sustainable aspects, and at the same time decent, well paid and the fulfilling jobs, and the both that developmental as well as the well-being of the employees. So there is a connection, that if there is economic growth or economic growth, then there will be decent work, and it does at the same time, if there is a decent work, then only there will be economic growth, as well as the globally the vision, that is the sustainable development. So there is a interconnections, and achieving of the sustainable economy itself, it's dependent on the, again, sustainable economy as well as the resilient economics. Resilient economy also dependent on the basically on the on the basically the decent work. So the what we can see is that suppose we can think about the sustainably resilient economies to achieve, then the decent work, and we have to create that the environment and the philosophy for the purpose of the reducing consumptions of the natural resources, suppose the mineral and water, that is also connected with the decent work. And at the same time, this is connected with the resilient work, and improve the understanding of the complex interactions between the environment and the society, and at the same time economic diversification issues, by the reducing the impact of the economic environmental shocks, and the technological upgradations, and the that knowledge accents, etc., or the research to improve the economic productivity. These all are dependent on the economic growth or the economic resilience. And economic to again, if it is there is a resilient, then only we can get the decent work. Otherwise we will be suffer from the polluting environment or unsecured environment, unpaid jobs. Then a job may even though wages we may not get the on time, or the salaries we may not get the on appropriate time. So now the thing is that the decent work issues are connecting with the resilient economy. That is very, very important in the entire globe. And those who are policymakers and at the same time the developmental thinkers, they have to connect that the decent work is how much is a serious issue for the perspective of the global peace and prosperity as well as the sustainable development. And connecting to the livelihoods, so while we are thinking about that, then also the connecting this sustainable livelihood, decent work creates an impact. So the job creation, suppose the job creation, if the entrepreneurs they create the job creation, that is the issue. But then that means that while we entrepreneurs are doing the venture, entrepreneurial venture, then the issues of a job creations will be there. So ultimately the job creations, that creation of a job that should incorporate the well-being of those who are not having the job. And that way it is connecting with the sustainable livelihood, and more job will support by the environmental sustainability and the decarbonization of the circular economy. That aspect is also very, very important. Now at the same time, sustainable ecotourism, geotourism, etc. That is also aspect. So aspects are many and multiple, and the workplaces in this case, for this one against sustainable livelihood, we have to understand about the workplace must be safe, secure, and free of the violence and harassment, all kinds. Now that is the livelihood. If there is a unsecured job and the free of the there is not free of the violence, and always there is psychological, then the spiritual, psychological, and the sociological and physical violence occurs in the workplace, then ultimately how people can tell about that we are under civilized condition or the well-being. So like this way, so that speaks about this, about the sustainable livelihood. And at the same time, there is a connections in case of this the decent work. We have to think about the good jobs and the economic growth are well connected, that we understand. And we can understand in such a way we should have the good job and economic growth aspect is that the sustained per capita economic growth, if we take into account at macro level, achieving high level of the economic productivity, that is the recent work normally ensures, and at the same time promote the development oriented policies. And that is also, but at the same time, this is an input as well as the output, and improve resource efficiency. That is also the issue of a sustainable development, achieving full productive employment for the globe or for the nation, or at the micro level, at the macro level, that is also issue. So the reducing the youth in the reducing youth not in the employment or educations, that is this employment or in educations, that is also an issue of the again the decent work. Eradicating forced child labor and the slavery, that is also issue, very, 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 very serious issue in the many of the industry sectors. And the protected labor rights and the safe working conditions, that is the issue, and that is the issue of a politics as well as the economics, as this is the issue of a policies as well as economics also. And at the same time, policies to promote the sustainable tourism, that can be the issue. So like this way, expanding the various access, so expanding to the access to the financial institution, that is also issue of a decent work life. So like this way, the issues are much more, and at the same time philosophical roots are also much more in the line of achieving the decent work life and the economic growth. These are interrelated from where we to start, whether economic growth first or the decent work later. But the thing is that while we see in the context of the as a worker, I am as a serviceman in the university systems, then also I feel in the university as any of the universities of the world, even they must have to even think about the decent work life. The work life, maybe giving salary, maybe giving a appropriate room is not decent. There is a many matters which is because we have to ensure through our work, we have to ensure the future generation, basically the sustainability also. And at the same time, the decent work life should be created by the unsecured. The security issues, while you take into account, it's much more deeper, not only the physical security or the physical torture, but psychological security also issue. So that is, we have to, if we cannot generate through the motivation, emotions, and at the same time spirituality, we cannot generate the spirit of the work in the world, then ultimately it will create a negative only. It will create the negative work, negative production. Production may be high, that will not create growth, that may not create that development. Production may be high, income may be high, GDP will be high, but that will go for the what? Bombarding, for the terrorism, that may also happen. So we have to think in terms of the decent work. Through the decent work, we can generate from the work each sectors of the economic activities of the entire world. Through the decent work, we can create the peace and sustainable society. And there lies the basic philosophies, and there lies the basic philosophical roots. And economic growth should be positive force for the whole planet. What I understand, economic growth should be a very positive force for the whole planet. And this is why we must have to ensure that the financial progress creates the decent and fulfilling job while not harming the environment. That propositions we have to keep in mind. And we must protect the labor rights and that means the worker rights, not their labor rights, workers' rights or the human rights, once and for all, and to put a stop to the modern slavery, and at the same time the child labor issue. If we go down to the aspect, then there's a modern slavery at any level: the white collar slavery, black collar slavery, and the blue collar slavery, then the yellow color. We can conceptually make this so many slavery style is there. At the extreme is the child labors that we have to stop anywhere. And if we promote the job creations with the expanded access to the banking and financial services, along with the other services and entrepreneurial job, etc., then it will be good issue. So we can make sure that everybody gets the benefit of the decent work life. That is, I normally understand the root issues, and at the same time, let us see that what the other countries are doing in this line about the ratifications of the ILO convention, because the decent work life is connected with the ILO conventions. And the ILO conventions, what is there? Forced labor. Forced labor is the issue. Many of the countries including Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, and the India, Indonesia, everybody has actually tried. But the in case of the China, they have not touched about the forced labor. That means that they are introducing, they cannot ensure about the decent work life. That is another is the freedom of association. Freedom of association is at the workplace, that is in the protection of the right, and at the same time to organize. In this case, the Australia is promoting, but at the same time Canada is promoting this particular in a positive way. The Congo, and at the same time the Indonesia, Peru, then the Russia, and Russia, they are having this right. But at the same time, many a time these are not ratified by many of the countries. In a similar way, right to organize for the collective bargaining. This is also an issue for the purpose of, this is the issue of the ILO conventions for the purpose of ensuring basically the decent work, that is right to organize, and the right for the equal remunerations. That is also a issue of the ILO convention, and it is incorporated under the decent work propaganda. And at the same time, the evolution for the forced labor, that is also issue and promoting by the ILO, and for the ratifications of for the entire country and forces. But ultimately, how many countries it requires? And China is not yet even the thought of this evolution of the forced labor. That is, there is a forced labor, and at the same time, the discrimination issue of a discrimination. But many of the times, what is there? Discrimination is a subjective issue in the context of the economics. But in the context of economics, even though it is a subjective, we have to ensure that the discrimination should be stopped, because it is a psychological discrimination, social discrimination, spiritual discrimination, physical discrimination. Many types of discrimination, very, very deep-rooted discriminations are there in the societies. Many of the countries, this is there, and at the same time, many workplaces. I do not like to tell about the country, but many of the workplaces, this is a contagious disease. And at the same time, minimum, that is the minimum age issue of a minimum age. That is also ILO's basic concern, and they are in the ILO's conventions are ratifying in this issue. And at the same time, some countries are accepting and some countries are not accepting, but majority of the countries are accepting in this line. Then at the same time, yes, worst form of the child labor, that is also there, that is also restricted.
Sorry,
yes,
extremely
with
sorry
this,
to disturb
yeah,
you, but I understand. I really could connect, and there is so much that you have connected through interlinking and connecting the topics, and then just a small topic of decent work and economic growth. I now understand it is interlinked to create that all goals could be met through this economic growth also. So a lot of
yes.
important information you have given us. I am extremely sorry to stop you, sir, but I would request you to kindly sum it up in a small.
Yeah. I'm now concluding. Actually, I have already said that is the economic growth should be a positive for the whole planet. I promote with the decent work we can do it, and with this one I am telling to the thank you to each and everyone for your patient hearing. I know that economics once, because it is my the intellectual lifeblood, like, so that is the reason why once I start, so when to stop, that I do not know, but at the same time it will continue for longer time. If I get another platform, then no doubt I will talk to it. Okay, with this one, you have given me opportunity. Thank you to the family of IIU, and thank you to all the intellectuals of the entire globe. Thank you, and namaste to everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I think so. It's a whole lot of topic. You have given us some insights, and with this, I would like to call on our next speaker to continue on the same topic. That is from Croatia. We have Ms. Biljana Ilkoski. I am sorry, ma'am, if I've got that name incorrect. Over to you. It's completely your stage, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are a big world in a small frame. Professor Barman, you put your criteria as a speaker very high, so I hope I will achieve a little bit of that. Very good speech. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is my first time, so I hope I will tell you something about my mindset about SDG number 8. Can I share my screen, please?
Biljana, try now. I gave you permission.
Thank you. Do you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, these goals, sustainable goals, are defined now a few years ago. So my interest was to find data or informations what has been achieved until today. First of all, we have to know something about 8th goal. What is the goal? To promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, employment, decent work for all. What that means and why is that important? Because inclusive economic growth can drive progress, create decent jobs for all, and improve living standards. A continued lack of decent work, opportunities, investments, and underconsumption lead to an erosion of the basic social contract underlying democratic societies that all must share in progress. Goal 8 has 8 targets, and every target has an indicator to measure it. I will not say, I will not read all the targets, but which is important is on the number 8.1, sustained per capita economic growth in accordance with national circumstances, in particular at least 7% gross domestic product. That is a very nice number, so we have to see where the countries are today. Indicator about 8.1 target is annual growth rate of real GDP per capita. Very important is economic productivity through diversification, technological upgrading, and innovation, including through a focus on high value added and labor intensive sectors. Indicator is real GDP per employed person. 8.4, improve progressively through 2030 global resource efficiency in consumption and production and endeavor to decouple economic growth from environmental degradation. In accordance with 10-year framework of programs on sustainable consumption and production, with developed countries taking the lead. So here's the keynote: are developed countries. Protect labor rights and promote safe and secure working environments for all workers, including migrant workers, in particular women migrants and those in precarious employment. Strengthen the capacity of domestic financial institutions to encourage to expand access to banking, insurance, and financial services. So let's take a quick look what has been achieved today. What does decent work mean? Decent work means secure employment, fair wages, safe working conditions, social protection, social dialogue, and labor rights and standards. Where are we today? These are information from International Labour Organization. On the left side, you can see annual growth rate of real GDP per capita and by country income group. So we have low income countries, lower middle income countries, upper middle income countries, high income countries, and less developed countries. What can we see on the left picture? Economic growth was included among Goal 8 targets because of the need for productive transformation, the exclusion of workers from natural resources, environmental degradation, and indicate living standards in the poorest countries. The growth trends since 2000 are punctuated by the global financial crisis of 2008 until 2009, which hit upper middle and high middle income countries especially hard. The world economy as a whole enjoyed a high annual GDP per capita growth rate of around 4%. A few minutes ago, the goal is 7%. Through this period, average performance has been stronger among upper middle and lower middle income countries, but low among low income countries. During a period of 2011 until 2018, low-income countries achieved an average annual growth of just 2.4%. Target A2 calls higher levels of economic productivity. The annual growth rate of real GDP per employed person, that is on the right side, follows similar trends to that of GDP per capita. The variation in labor productivity growth rate across countries' income groups remain quite large. Here we can see with young people with need status. What is a need status? When young people are not in employment, education, or training, they are unable to gain skills that are valued in the labor market, which reduces their future chances of finding employment and in the long run. Goal 8 has inclusive overview about young men, child, and persons with disability. So on this picture, the gender gap is especially wide in lower wide income countries, where young women are more than 3 times as likely as young men to have need status. Countries should do all they can to enable young women to access education, employment, and training on equal terms with young men. Regard to wages, you can see here that men enjoy a wage premium of more than 20% in many countries across the various broad occupational groups. So now is time to think what must the world do until 2030. These are my point of view. Providing you the best opportunity to transition to a decent job calls for investing in education and training of the highest possible quality, providing you with skills that match labor market demands. Implement international labor standards, including freedom of association, collective bargaining, and social dialogue. Here is very important to say that non-profit organizations or non-profit sectors in countries are very important to achieve this goal. Implement comprehensive employment policy frameworks, including support to labor market institutions. Applying minimum living wages with the full involvement of social partners. Governments could work to build dynamic, sustainable, innovative economics, promoting youth employment and women's economy empowerment, in particular, decent work for all. Implementing educate health and safety measures and promoting supportive working environments. Ensure universally accessible social protection, taking measures to create fiscal space for social services. That's the task for the government. Time in corporate power, ensure business accountability, transparency, and due diligence in global supply chains. Implement a just transition to achieve a low carbon economy and to create green jobs. This is how I see Global Goal 8. Thank you for attention.
Thank you so much, Ms. Biljana. That was really a lot of insight. I think so. A lot of things getting clear with how is it connected, all different points that could be connected to the economic growth. I would now like to call upon our next speaker for the day, Dr. Rupali Dhamdere, principal from Trinity International School. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and greetings from Trinity International School, Pune. I am the principal of this beautiful campus, and today I would like to throw a little bit light on what we are talking about, that is decent work and economic growth. Now, me being an educator and being very fond of stories, I'd like to tell you all a little story. This age-old story of the thirsty crow that we all are aware. Now, we would wonder, how am I going to, or how is this thirsty crow story related to economic growth? So if we remember the story that this crow is thirsty on a summer, afternoon, and is looking for water but cannot find water, and then he looks for water and it is at the bottom of a pitcher, and the crow finally, picks stones and puts them in the pitcher, and the water level rises up, and this is how the crow drinks water. Right? This is the age-old regular story. Now, if we want to give it a little bit of a twist, and we want to talk about economic growth. So in today's times, when a crow is thirsty, the crow should be able to find water at any tap that is closest to the crow. So water flowing through any tap that is closer to the crow, whether the crow is in a rural area, the crow is in a village, whether the crow is in a tribal area, does not matter. The fact that we have a tap and water flowing through the tap for the thirsty crow is, I think, economic growth. Now, when we're talking about economic growth and decent employment, we cannot talk about decent employment nor economic growth without keeping humans in the center. So everything needs to have a very humanistic approach to what we do. So why is the problem that we are facing today is now because of the COVID outbreak. We know that many people have lost their jobs, and the economic growth has come sliding down, crashing down in most of the places. There are where we say developed and developing countries, we actually have had a very factful phase to this, wherein the developing countries actually the way they struggle to get back and to get the people and to get the economy back on track, and they are still struggling. I would not say that they struggle right from how to implement the lockdown, and how to get people vaccinated, how to do it entirely because of the larger population and the things. So it started from the struggle from that point of time, and in the developing countries we saw that the pandemic was much under control because of more mechanisms and the other things that they do have, because they can afford to implement all that at a very faster rate than the developing countries could do. So when we are talking about all this and keeping humans in the center, I think every growth and every economic crisis or economic I would call the inflation or deflation that we go through has humans at the center of it. And when we consider humans at the center of it, so then comes decent work. What is decent work? Decent work is nothing but when you get paid for the skill or the talent that you have. So sometimes it should not just be related to the education that you have or the degrees that you're holding, but it should also be decent pay given to the skill that a person might possess and the skill that a person might have, and a decent income that the person can get through using that and utilizing that skill. So giving more importance to that skill, and what as a country can we do to get those skills. Yes, as in countries like now, because I am from Pune and I am from a school and a CBSE school as well, yes, we are looking at more of skill development and other things, which in turn slowly will add value of economic growth. We are also looking at education from a very, very broad perspective now, not just looking at the and numbers, so to say. So when we say decent employment where they feel safe, they feel secure, and also they feel that they are getting a right wage to the work, kind of work that they're doing. There is equality in the work that is being given, the equality in opportunities that are provided, and also equality in approach, and also the perspective of the citizens of the country. So even if you are working as a skilled worker, you are equally important and equally respectable, rather than, if you just think that I am a white collar person, so that would have a more respectable perspective, and the society looks at that person with a different perspective. So we need to start this right from the younger generation, is what I feel. And I would conclude with the remark that yes, the government is working on different platforms to get all this in together, and I am sure that the SDG that we are talking about, and we are talking about 2030 as an important year to achieve all this. And I'm sure with so much effort taken by all of you, and thanks to inviting me to this platform, I'm sure that we all are going to, be there and witness this change that we are struggling for and we are talking about today. So that is it from my side. Thank you so much, and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I really think that small daily improvements can bring revolutionary results, and that's what we all are here for, to participate in that small steps. Thank you so much. With this, I would like to call upon our next speaker for the day, Ms. Alka Singh. She's a principal from Bluebells Model School, Gurugram, India, and she's a gold medalist in economics. Ma'am, it's complete. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. First of all, I would like to thank all of you to give this opportunity to speak on a topic what I think I'm passionate about. When we are talking about economic growth, I think I'll just put it up like for each one of you out here. I'm sure how Professor Roop spoke, it was absolutely clear to each one. Economic growth, when we are talking about, what does it actually mean? Economic growth technically means that all the factors of production, like land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, all of them together, they produce goods and services, right? The moment the production takes place, give it a thought. What happens? How do we produce? When we are producing, we require the labor, we require the other resources. So production generates income. Remember that. How? Via employment. So that's what we are going to talk about right now. How critical is economic growth to every economy? That's most important. Any economy, whatever we are talking about. Remember, but when we are talking about economic growth, I might start off with production in such a manner that I have child labor over there. I'm not providing the right wages. The labor laws are not followed. That is not an economic growth, actually. So it is sustainable economic development, what we should be talking about. Sustainable when we are referring to catering for the environment, catering for each individual's self-esteem, talking about employment in the right manner. When I say employment in the right manner, that technically means if I'm qualified to be at a particular post on a particular salary, I should be getting that. So that's what this goal when we are talking about. SDG, when we refer to, remember, this is for each one of you out here, sustainable development goals. If each one of us contribute, I'll come to the goal specifically. How do we contribute? I would say in India, creation of entrepreneurs, so many startups which are coming up. Even in my school, when I talk to my students, I tell them, I'm not educating you for a job. I'm educating you such that you create hundreds and thousands of jobs. You become an entrepreneur. So that's when we refer to economic growth. How do we contribute? What are the steps we should be taking? We, as a school, apart from education, we should always be talking about vocational education. A child, the moment he goes out of the school, he should be able to be employed and also create employment. So that's what we should be referring to when we are talking about the SDG, economic growth and decent work. Then comes, as an employer, what is my duty? I can work on a micro level. All of us together, when we are together, we work on a macro level. The whole globe, the whole economy, the whole world gets impacted. As an employer out here, I should ensure that each person in my school who's working over here should be happy, should be contented, should be healthy, should be getting the right wages, right appraisals. I should be taking care of their welfare in case anything happens to them. So this is my contribution in case, if I say, as an employer out here. So each one of us, if we take it up in the same manner, that really works. So now when we refer to, greetings to one and all. I'm the principal of Bluebell's Model School. So that's where we are referring to. Give it a thought when we are talking about over here. SDG 8.1 uses sustained per capita economic growth in accordance with national circumstances, and in particular, at least 7% GDP growth rate. Please understand, each one out here, when I'm talking about this, what do I mean? That means economic growth is taking place, but at a sustained rate. Do look at the complete world as a whole. See the growth rate. This is the exact data right now when I'm talking about. So that is economic growth. Is it taking place in the right proportion? Is the rate of growth 7% minimum? So this has to be ensured. So that's the first thing when we are talking about. Then when we refer to, once again, when we are talking about economic growth over here, remember there. I talk about the second point, that is 8.2 over here. High levels of economic productivity through diversification, technological upgradation, and innovation. Then when we talk about the real GDP, gross domestic product. What is this real GDP when we are talking about? One is GDP right now. If I say India's GDP rate right now is 10%, is that the real GDP? No, I have to refer to a reference here. How much growth has actually taken place in an economy? That's something I should be talking about. So that is the second perspective of when we are referring to this, when we are referring to the goal. Now, 8.3, SDG 8.3, when we're talking about promote development orientation policies that support productive activities. Productive activities. I'm just referring to 3 economies right now. Please look at it. That support productive activities, decent job creation, entrepreneurship, what I was referring to, creativity and innovation, and encourage the formalization and growth of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, which is most important for every economy right now. If we actually promote the small and medium-sized enterprises, the employment level is going to go up. People are going to get more employed. Creativity, innovation, that is the need of the hour. So that's what we need to talk about. Now comes, when we are talking about the economic growth, we are talking about the small scale industries. Also, we should keep in mind that is improve progressively to 2030 global resource efficiency in consumption and production, and endeavor to decouple economic growth from environmental degradation. That is what I was talking about. I might have GDP, I might have many industries out there, but what is the impact of the industries on the environment? I built a flyover. When I'm building the flyover, I've cut the forest over there. Is it actually the true economic growth? No. So that's something what we need to refer to when we are talking about the economic growth out here. Now, Achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men, including young people and persons with disabilities, and equal pay for work of equal value. Remember this when we are talking about employment. So employment is, when we're creating employment, it is for all. It's not about just the fit people out there, the people who are absolutely educated. We need to create employment for women, women empowerment. That is most important. Next is the people who are disabled. They have equal right to be employed. So that's, we need to be working towards it. When I'm saying we need to be, because we are all educationists, we are all people who are influencers. So that's the reason I'm again and again referring to that. 8.6 by 2020 substantially reduce the proportion of youth not in employment, education, and or training. That means proportion of youth aged 15 to 24 years, not in education, employment, and training. We need to reduce that. We need to create opportunities. We need to work towards it. Now, 8.7, when we are talking about take immediate and effective measures to eradicate forced labor and modern slavery and human trafficking. It's a crime to humanity when we say forced labor. Each person has the right to choose what he wants to do what makes him happy. That's something where we actually should be taking care of, and eliminate the worst forms of child labor. Child needs to have his childhood. Decent work is for the people who are to be employed, not for the child. Recruitment, use of child soldiers. It's a cruelty to humanity, to be ended in all forms. Protect labor rights. When we are referring to a labor rights, when I talk about labor rights, safe and secure working environment, I might have a person working in, let's say, coal mine. So I need to take care that the person who's working in the coal mine is safe, secure, the right environment, his health is perfectly fine. So that's something what we need to really take care of. And also including migrant workers, in particular women migrants, and those in precarious employment. So that has to be, their rights have to be protected. 8.9, by 2030, devise and implement policies to promote sustainable tourism that creates jobs and promotes local culture. I think the platform where we are right now, this is a platform where we say that we're all together. And in case we start exploring each other's country, are we not actually promote sustainable tourism? Strengthen the capacity of domestic financial institutions to encourage and expand access to banking, insurance, and financial services for all. Every single child above the age of 15 should be having an account. This is important. Now, thank you for giving this opportunity. I would put up a request to all these, the 67 participants which are visible out here, saying that we can be speaking about it. We can have the awareness about it. But I think coming to this platform, more important is we take steps towards it. Even if you're taking small steps, it's important. Create decent work. The moment you create this decent work, production takes place. Production is taking place. How? Employment is increasing. When employment goes up, income is going up. The moment income goes up, the GDP, the growth rate increases. Most important is sustain it. Not 1 year I have 8% growth rate, the next year I have -2%. No, sustainable economic growth is what the whole world should be looking at. This is a global economy. It is not about India or respective countries. It is about all of us together. Thank you so much, Rashmi and Ms. Nada, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you for all those insights in knowing more about the economic growth and development. To accomplish great things, we should not only believe, but act, not only plan, but execute it. It said, one child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. A teacher plants the seeds of knowledge, sprinkles them with love, and patiently nurtures their growth to produce tomorrow's dreams. That one teacher or one figure is a figure which leads to the new future of the country and leads the new generation of leaders. IIU will soon be starting teacher accreditation courses, and you all can avail the opportunity to become a global recognized teacher. Thus, all the great teachers present here today can represent their country on an international level. Global teachers will get 1 year training from IIU. The global teacher recognition will lead to personality development, training of the teachers for international level skills, development and sound knowledge of the technology used around the globe, but will also lead to viable earnings through all these developments. Other than this, I would like to share one more thing with all of you today. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan National Teacher Award 2021. Swarna Bharat Parivar, SBP, is organizing a ceremony of honor for teachers, principals, and persons associated with educational institutions, literatures, social concerns at the national level, proposed as a virtual summit in New Delhi on September 5th and 6th on National Teachers' Day. Eminent educationists, literatures, and social personalities of the country will participate in this function. If any of you are eligible, teachers, principals, and educational institutions, social workers for the above awards in the eyes of any great person, then please do send the following information. The details will be shared in the chat box. I just want to add to this that a great teacher always makes a great nation. Now, moving forward, I would like to share a glimpse of accreditation by IIU.
Join us to make a difference in the orbits of education. We are the change, we are IIU. Are you a K-12 school offering a top quality education? Are your students getting global exposure? Is experiential learning and innovation a part of your curriculum? Are your teachers internationally certified educators? Are you able to identify your learners' potential and expose them to compete globally? If the above questions do not sound optimist, then the clock has struck to get accredited and affiliated by IIU. You think of strategies, training, competitions, we offer it. You want to interact with an expert team of educators, we possess it. You want to be exposed to learning at a global platform? If yes, you have embarked at the right destination. IIU's International School Accreditation Board. Let's put some light over accreditation, what it is. Why do we need it? Simply put, accreditation is value. In today's challenging world, it is extremely important that institutes or schools be accredited and approved with the institutes, meet certain standards. Accreditation assures employers that the graduates of an accredited institute are ready to face challenges and rigors of the modern world. The students who graduate from accredited institutes and schools have access to enhanced opportunities and employment and global mobility. IIU accreditation affiliation has no bars for any boards like state boards, CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, IB. IIU accreditation affiliation has created an arena for learners across the various countries and continents throughout the globe. What are you waiting for? Apply now. IIU's International School Accreditation Board.
Thank you so much for that short glimpse of the accreditation. Before I call upon our next speaker for today, I request all the speakers to kindly limit yourself. And we all know there's a lot of experiences you wish to share with us. If you can put it up to 4 to 5 minutes, it would be really great. I would now like to call upon our next speaker, Dr. V. Vasanta Kumar from India, a PhD, Head and Assistant Professor from Nagarathinam Angalamal Arts and Science College, Madurai Kamaraj University. Request you, sir, to kindly share your thoughts on SDG Goal 8. You are on mute, sir.
Very good evening to my brothers and sisters in this universe. Actually, this is a wonderful opportunity for me. So I thank IIU University members, especially Piyush Pandey sir, and also the Pradeepa ma'am, and all the coordinators. And also I thank Rashmi Gupta ma'am, the moderator. It's my pleasure to share my views on this forum. Before that, I thank my Nagaratna Mangalamal Arts and Science College secretary and my principal for this wonderful opportunity. Economic development. We are talking about decent work and economic development. Is not only a simple program. It is a policy and also activity. How we are going to improve our economic level in this society. So we have so much level to improve, to expand job level, to expand industry and revolution, to introduce new ideas in business areas, to introduce economic level as in the previous, comparing with previous stage, and to increase tax value and to improve quality of life. These are the basic ideas. But before that, we want to discuss about one thing. We want to create consumer awareness. Without consumer awareness, we are not able to develop economic level in the universe. So to provide awareness, especially in the consumers level, because there are so much of lack in the consumers awareness, especially waste management system. So we want to control waste management. We are talking about in future development, what we are in the present stage. That is the main thing. We have so many companies in, especially in India, in the universe. But how we are going to save that product? That is things. For example, a man need 5 banana for his family. He have only 5 members, but he is going to buy 12 bananas. But what about the next 7? If he enough for the 5 or 7, what about the other bananas? He is going to waste. So we want to create that consumer awareness in the basic level. So that I have a little idea to share through my views. We want to create awareness in the school level. For example, we have the NSS, National Service Schemes, Youth Red Cross Society, and Red Ribbon Clubs in India, schools and colleges. But we are not having enough innovative clubs for the economics. We have only in the higher education level, only we have the subjects. But that subject is not enough for the development. So if we are going to make awareness in the high education level, we have a young minds. We know that the Vivekananda ji and also the APJ Abdul Kalam need young minds to improve all the level of the industry. So we want to create the young entrepreneur. We want to boost an entrepreneur so that we have only one tool, that is education. Through the education only, we are going to improve that young minds. Through the young minds, we are going to develop economics, especially in the word decent work. How we are going to maintain the decent work? Need awareness. Without awareness, we are not able to build. This is not a simple thinking. It's a economic development. It's a building. It's a great. We want to build a biggest one. So that building need a cornerstones. Every cornerstone, we need some awareness because it's a simple thing. A man need a peaceful life. That peaceful life basically based on economic development. If I have a good salary, if my family have a good economic level, I'm very happy about in this society, very happy. So that we need a basic economics awareness. So that awareness only come from education. The ordinary man also need awareness. How that ordinary man need awareness? He is going to have awareness from his child. So my suggestion is to build awareness from the childhood, that is from the 6th standard onwards, we want to build economic awareness for our society. Then only we are going to have a young entrepreneur. We have so many plans, but at the same time, we want to control, we want to reduce waste management system. We create high wage jobs, that is the high wage plans and jobs. We are going to introduce innovative companies, that is another thing. But awareness is very, very important. In the school level, in a college level, we are only teach what is economics, but we want to mold the students. We want to improve the students' minds, not only the students, say young minds. So we want to create economic clubs. If I'm a professor of English, I'm going to create a literary club to elevate literary knowledge to the students. The same thing we want to provide in the economic education. And we are going to provide stage of economic level 1 to only to agree. If my country is in a high level, how we are going to provide evidence? The first one is economic. Economic is one of the pillar of all those countries. So this is my suggestion. We want to control waste management. We want to introduce consumer awareness in the basic level. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. It's simple that we have been preaching. Now it's time to practice. And with this, I would like to call upon our next speaker from Nigeria, Clemencia Tina, MSc International in Human Resource Management Leadership Development Consultant, Executive Director on the John Maxwell team, faculty member, the John Maxwell team, Kingston University, London, and the John Maxwell team, John Lugard's Consulting Services. The floor is all yours. From Nigeria, Clemencia Tina.
Miss Rashmi, she is not here.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to go on to our next speaker from Yusuf Suleiman Kandamai from Chad, Functionaire Administration College. Request you, sir, to kindly give your insights on SDG goal number 8. Mr. Yusuf.
Mrs. Rashmi, when you call somebody and he's not here, maybe he will join us later, so you can go to another speaker.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Our next speaker for today, we have Professor Ravinder Rane. He's a professor of economics and internationalization, project leader NWU from Business School, Northwest University, Mahikeng, South Africa. I request you, sir, to kindly take over the floor and share your insights on Sustainable Development Goal 8. Probably let's move on to our next speaker from Croatia.
Rashmi, are you calling me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening in India, and good afternoon in South Africa. Well, it is indeed a great pleasure to be part of this particular international forum, which is very pertinent for all of us, for the entire globe, to discuss on the special or sustainable development goals. And the conference, I must appreciate the International Internship University for putting efforts together to bring all of us from different corners of the world to share some of our views. Well, today's topic, the goal 8, which is very, very important. Of course, it also tried to encapsulate for the entire 17 goals as well, directly or indirectly. That is decent work and economic growth. As a professor of economics with about 3 decades of experience, I got a lot to talk, but just I would like to share only a couple of insights with you in the interest of time. The point of the matter here is that the previous speakers were speaking about economic growth and the decent work. We economists believe that there is a strong correlation. There's a strong bond between a decent work and the economic growth. So they are the two sides of the same coin. They cannot exist without one. So they support each other. So therefore, they have to go hand in hand. And if you look at the coin, one is head and other is tail. So economic growth is also, getting probably from the decent work and the productivity of the employees of the nation. So without going to the much details of that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to touch that economic growth, it not necessarily mean anything, because the numbers doesn't change the lives of the people and the standard of living of the people or the welfare of the people. There are so many people in this world, out of 7.8 billion people living in this planet, and they are, majority of them, probably about 50% of them are living in a vulnerable situations with a lot of poverty, destitution, and inequality, and so on and so forth. So now the decent work, how do we achieve the decent work? So achieving decent work is not an easy phenomenon because we have so much exclusivity among ourselves, so much deviation among ourselves, and so much inequality that is persisting in terms of ethnic groups and in terms of regionalism, in terms of nationalism, in terms of so many other deviations that we have. So achieving the decent work, we have. Can you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so I was just trying to tell you that the decent work is not an easy phenomena because of the fact it is comprising of complex issues around. So, but again, how can we achieve
please, Professor, please can you mute yourself? Please mute yourself.
Professor Nada, can I conclude my speech or?
No, you can continue, Professor,
Okay.
but there were big noise.
I see, yeah, thank you for that. So now let me give you the perspective of South Africa, for example. South Africa is the largest economy in the African continent for quite some time. I think, colleagues, can you please mute yourself? There's a noise, background noise coming up. Yeah, I was just trying to give the example of South Africa as a nation, one of the vibrant and dynamic nations, which is also part and parcel of the BRICS, and where India is also shared that particular platform. So in South Africa, once upon a time, maybe about 8 to 9 years ago, it used to be the largest economy in the African continent. But what happened now? Although South Africa remained the second largest economy in the African continent after Nigeria, but now the problem remains here. For the past 1.5 decades, the economic growth in South Africa has been tumbled down. We are hardly experienced, particularly for the past 2008 onwards, we never experienced a 2% positive economic growth rate. For a nation where we achieving 6% economic growth rate at one stage, we couldn't able to achieve 2% economic growth rate. Particularly for the past 3-4 years, we were achieving minus economic growth rates, minus probably 1, minus 2, and 0.7 last year or before the pandemic, we were experiencing 0.7% economic growth rate, where it is less than 1%, ladies and gentlemen. So meaning that there are some African countries such as Ethiopia or Tanzania, for example, their economic growth rates between 7 to 8%, where when you compare the size of the economy of Ethiopia and South Africa probably 4 times bigger than Ethiopia in any kind of economic measurements. But this is what is happening. So the people living in Ethiopia, the people living in South Africa, if we compare, now what does that mean? Economic growth rate, is it contributing in any manner, in any positive way to the people's living standards? So I must say that no, because economic growth rate is just a number. And the number, it has to be that if we achieve economic growth rate with 10%, the 10% growth rate must be shared among the common people. When a common man is benefited from that particular 10% growth rate, then we can say the growth rate is sustainable and it is making some sense. Now, for instance, China, for the past 30 years down the line, it was growing at the rate of 15% for about 1.5 decades. And maybe for about 30 years period, about 8 to 8.5% it was growing actually. So can we say that China is achieved in terms of decent work, in terms of the economic growth rate? Then we can say some extent, because China is the only country in the world that can lift about 700 million people out of poverty. So they achieve the growth rate, and the growth rate is also reflected on the common man and reducing the poverty. So that is making some sense. So in South African context, I was telling you, just I would like to conclude in about a minute or so, ladies and gentlemen, that now South Africa, once upon a time, it was the largest economy in the African continent, among the top 20 economies in the world. Now it is battling with the severe unemployment problem. For example, a few days ago, I think 2 or 3 days back, there was unemployment statistics that was released by the government, and it is climbing up every year. Now it is about 35% unemployment rate, which is one of the highest in the world. Now, how do we, so the number of people working in South Africa are lesser than the number of people not working in South Africa. So this is not making sense actually. So ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, and one has to think that, so achieving decent work and achieving economic growth rate, this is the complex phenomena. By 2030, United Nations or the world is not going to achieve this. Even in the coming 150 years down the line, unless and otherwise, all the countries in the world, they maintain the transparency, the accountability, and probably working with a holistic approach, achieving this goal in the coming few years' time, 2030, is absolutely impossible. So it may take even 150 to 200 years to achieve this goal number 8. So with this few remarks from my side, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to conclude by saying thanks to the International University of Internship University, and I'm also the country director of South Africa. So it's always happy to share the platform with you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And there are a lot of insights, I think so. Easy connectivity, because we all are on the same platform to work on it. With this, I would like to call upon our next speaker from Croatia, Zelko. Again, extremely sorry if the pronunciation goes incorrect. It's Zeljko Vitkovic Don from Croatia, and he's graduated from Faculty of Science in Split and works as a professor of informatics and computer science at the Ban Joseph Jalak Secondary Vocational School in Sinch. Regularly participates with his students in country and computer science competitions, the International Beaver Competition, and European Coding Week. I think so, sir, there's a lot of work that you have contributed in the field of education. He's worked as a lecturer for the Integral University at Zagreb, and now for the Semaphore Adult Education Center in Sinch. He's also an initiator and participant in several humanitarian activities inside and outside the school, numerous projects associated with him, and he's a technical editor of the school online magazine Brainstorm. I hand over the platform to you, sir, to share your views on this topic for today.
Thank you, Rashmi. Greetings to everyone from Croatia, and especially big greetings to the moderator and my colleague Nada. Thank you, Nada, for the invitation to speak at this conference. Today I will present about the digital economy, and please permission Nada to share the screen.
Željko, you can share the screen.
Thanks. It's okay, Nada?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. New economy or digital economy. One moment. The beginning of the digital economy. In April 2014, Uber, a startup company, just 5 years earlier, flooded the European transportation market with its shared transportation app. With a simple mobile app and a few algorithms, anyone can now become a taxi driver without any training, without paying taxes or social security contribution, and without regulatory restrictions. The revolution, not only in the scientific community, but also in politics and in the world of work, was symbolized by the very penetration of Uber into the passenger transport sector. This symbolizes the end of wage labor, the full liberalization of services, and the expansion of global competition. This will be the end of one social model because there are no more labor laws or regulation on working hours, no more working hours or offices. There are no dismissal procedures and no more collective labor activity. The Financial Times in 2015 writes, this phenomenon is a symbol of a complete break with the previous practice. So today we are talking about Uberization. Companies are afraid to become Uberized. From taxi drivers to television networks, from filmmakers to restaurants and banks. The ways individuals and companies do business are changing so fast that many companies are barely keeping up. What is the digital economy? It is an economy based on technological innovation and an economy for which data is the basic raw material. Technological innovation and data have become major drivers of the digital economy and future economic growth. What enabled the development of the digital economy? Development of the internet and high-speed network, big data, connecting large amounts of usable, commercial, personal, and geographical data via internet platforms. The explosion of new forms of mobile device, mobile phones, tablets, which enable consumers, workers, and service providers to access the mobile internet at any time and in any place. The result of such trends, disappearance of borders and distance thanks to networks, creating new raw materials, data, the platforms, companies, and beginners can use directly, erasing the boundaries between the workplace, resting place, or home. Now, an individual who has a cell phone, a manufacturer, can create service or at least offer services to earn some extra money, survive until the next paycheck, or increase income. Today, it is possible to buy a $4,000 smartphone that has the performance of a supercomputer that in 1975 cost $5 million. Big data. Big data can be defined as the total amount of data, personal, commercial, geographical, that are available on digital networks, the internet, mobile phones, satellite navigation systems, and then can be used as raw materials, especially as part of mobile applications. The digital economy is trying to monetize this raw material by relying on several giant platforms, including Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, IBM, that produce, accumulate, and manage a large amount of data about their users and use algorithms to turn that data into useful information. Such data is growing exponentially. 90% of the data now circulating on the internet was created less than 2 years ago. 21st century factors. Data-based information platforms and introduce a new way of organizing companies. Supervision, control, and the evolution of workers' work. New functions of workers, employees, self-employed, undeclared workers, standardization of company, or even the data-driven society in terms of reputational efficiency. Use the personal data as workers and citizens, and unknowingly we produce millions of pieces of information every day via email, social networks, satellite navigation systems, browsers, codes, forms, but also cameras, electronic sensors. Official documents increasingly stored in a cloud, whose physical location is sometimes thousands of miles away. Possibilities of the digital economy. The digital revolution produce intelligent factories, intelligent work organization, intelligent governance, but also intelligent cities, intelligent shops, intelligent energy production systems, intelligent transport infrastructure. The digital revolution directly affects job creation, new sectors, new products, new services, job change, digitization, human intelligent machine interface, new forms of management, relocation, digital platforms, crowdsourcing, sharing economy, but destruction of jobs, automation, robotics. Such trends raise questions in several areas. In the labor market, does the digital economy destroy more jobs than it creates? Is there a way to predict the end result? On work status, will we all become self-employed? Is this the end of paid work or the beginning of new and more flexible forms of employment that are more in line with the wishes of the workers themselves? Regarding working conditions, will it still be possible to enforce social regulation, such as restrictions on working hours, health and safety at work? Will jobs still exist? What about manual workers, office workers, service providers, and will their own role be to perform the tasks decided by the algorithms? And finally, the most important questions of our future as an intelligent being arises. Will smart machines produce stupider people? And thank you for attention. And the joke, somewhere something went terribly wrong, like say picture.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insights. I really liked the last tagline, and that's my takeaway from the session today. Thank you so much. And with this, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Nada Ratkovic from Croatia. She's the IIU Director, Country Director of Croatia, Administrative Core Member, SDG Core Member. She has completed a master degrees in economics, master degree in mechanical engineering. She has a diploma as a computer informatics STEM expert, certified accountant, and certified ISO internal auditor, founder and coordinator of national and global projects, STEM each winning projects. She has won many national and international awards, Croatia Best Teacher Award, International Women Award, and she has specialized in the fields of statistics, math, informatics, ecology, STEM, economy, business, and I think the list goes on and on and on. So I request you, Ms. Nada, to kindly take over the floor and share your views about SDG Goal 18, Goal 8.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, dear Rashma, for your introduction. First, I want to thank all the speakers before me. What to say at the end after their speech. I listened, Professor Aru Barman, our Alka Singh, Dr. Vaisangmar, Professor Dr. Ravinder, then colleague Jelko, he's informatic, but he also said his vision. Colleague Bilana Yakovsky said what she thinks. What would I want to say? If we are talking about economic growth, first we must know the terms. I will set my practice. When I first finished technical studies, so as you said, mechanical engineering, I didn't understand many terms. It was very hard to work and talk about economic, monetary policy, fiscal policy, what means growth rate. So I know that today here are many participants that this is not their field. Who are economics? What mean economics? I will start from mainstream economics. What means mainstream economics? I can say that we have micro and macro, but more of us economics are the mainstream economics. What that mean? It means that we can describe the school of economics through orthodox minds, and then we have many ideas in the economy. Here is a big correlation between our SDG goal 8 and all others. Why? Because everything what we do, no hunger, zero climate change, whatever we talk about, any of these SDGs, we must talk about decent work and economic growth. What about the situation in the world? We heard from Africa, we heard from India, we heard from the global level. What about the situation in my country? What it means GDP? What means growth rate? In Croatia, everybody thinks that we are a high level development country, but our growth rate is averaged 0.5%. And I can say that it reached more, I must admit, that reached more than 6%. This situation with COVID make many problems. And how can we talk today about this topic if we are not going, if we are not growing? So we economics are the key people in this society. We must make changes. We must make changes first, and then everybody can do that, achieve our ideas, our visions, our missions. What is essential for people? What is essential for recovery? We are the people who have kept the world running through this COVID-19. We must background our communities at the global economy. And yet, the global recovery from COVID-19, then we can go higher. That is my main, what I want to say today, essential for recovery. And we all here today, all these days and all around the globe are working on that. Our Dr. Vasangomer said, awareness. Yes, all of us are very, very warning about the situation and when the situation will stop and when will we start growing. So in the formal economy, care workers are also struggling with a majority reporting to others who wants to provide the basis about the food, energy, transportation, our families. What to say about the workers? I have a data that by June 2020, workers in informal economy were on average making 55% of their pre-pandemic earnings. That is information, a very important information. 55% of their pre-pandemic earners. 61% of workers globally work in informal economy, as I said. And these workers just has a significant position of their income with the pandemic. So we must here all pray to God that this situation must start, because if it continue, there will be no more entrepreneurs. And how can we talk about entrepreneurship here on this global? When we look on these platforms, organizations, universities, everybody today is fighting for their revenue. Why? Because he is awareness and he knows that this situation today, if you don't fight for that, there will be no revenue. I don't want to talk about theoretics or some things. This is what I want to say here today. I don't have no time. I also very sorry that Mrs. Alka didn't finish her minds, Professor Ara Barman, Dr. Vaisangar, and all today big economics here on this platform. So we will have a chance very soon to present again on one of our, but then on the scientific way. We will make that, we will make our researchers, and then we will present that with numbers. Thank you so much on your attention.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nada, for sharing your insights. And I really feel that every accomplishment starts with the decision to try. And we at IIU, with the 17-day conference, are set to achieve the targets very soon. Okay, let me share with you about something very interesting. It's about the Golden Book of Earth. Golden Book of the Earth will comprise the research, innovations, experience stories, articles by the 101 great educators who have inspired the world. It will be the Wikipedia of knowledge. In these tough times of pandemic, educators all over the globe are putting in their best to provide education to every learner despite various hurdles. It is the first Golden Book on the Earth describing the expressions of the educators, which will make the history, will be published by International PR and Research Publishing House IIU UK. It is a great opportunity for each one in the sector of education, the educators, principals, teachers, edu leaders to express themselves. Be the change that you wish to see in the world by sending your nomination. Just grab the opportunity and be one of the 101 global educators who have inspired the world. And the last date for submission is 20th September 2021. So before moving further, I would request all the participants to kindly switch on the cameras for the group photograph.
Please, we must put here in the chat, I must put the link for the certificate. Please don't leave yet.
By the time you have your cameras on and we will be capturing the moment, I would like to introduce...
Am I not speaking? Am I not giving my speak?
I would like to introduce the co-founder of IIU. We have with we have one person who has the vision, the thought, the idea behind a successful venture and organization. And if we talk about the man behind the success of IIU, it's our beloved co-founder of IIU, Mr. Piyush Pandit. Any words would be less for him, and thus I am sharing with you a small video to give all of us an insight into his journey and his life. I request.
Piyush Pandit was born on 27th July 1987 in Pratapgarh, Uttar Pradesh, in a middle-class family. Piyush Pandit is that name who's recognized by his multiple work genres, an international social activist, award-winning social worker, serial entrepreneur, and founder of SBP Global. He has determined his destiny by having trust in him and Almighty God. Piyush Pandit is a diligent and passionate social worker committed to serve the humanity. Piyush Pandit has played a crucial role in crafting a team of volunteers and achieved global recognition as head of Swarna Bharat Parivar Trust, which span across more than 50 countries. He granted several live interviews and press conferences on rural development, access to justice, and the right to equality. Piyush is youth leader with extensive social work experience, political activism, and stellar entrepreneurial achievements. When you think of social work and changing the world by improving human experiences, Piyush Pandit comes to mind. He is proactively mentoring other social activists to encourage social activism and entrepreneurship around the world. He is working fiercely towards achieving United Nations sustainable goals in India and over the globe. Under the flawless leadership of Piyush Pandit, Swarna Bharat Parivar Trust was established. The organization strives to place the humanity at forefront and bringing back the human warmth which has lost due to busy modern life. They are fighting to ensure ending poverty, unemployment, and making society better for all. Rural India has been a focal point of Piyush, which gave birth to Help India Help Foundation. The social work continues and the e-village was established in 2012 to reinforce India's roots in villages and villagers. At the crux of Piyush's work is the youth. He believes that youth empowerment is closely aligned with social service. Piyush is the CEO of Piyush Group. The organization covers several industries including renewable energy, logistics, real estate, and so on. Piyush Pandit has succeeded in scaling the growth of these organizations and his work has taken them to the multinational level. Piyush is able to form and sustain positive relationship with people. He has received a plethora of awards and recognitions in 2018 with India's Great Leader Award, India Star Book of Records in 2019, GTF World Summit Bangkok 2019, Volunteer Hero, Abad Samman Samaroh, Blood Donation Award, Environmental Sentinel Award, Yuva Gaurav Samman, and Literature Confluence Award. Piyush Pandit believes in the philosophy of growing together. His slogan is, "Let's grow together and create tomorrow's entrepreneur." He has the vision to create a society that is based on freedom, equality, solidarity, diversity, and fairness.
This I would like to call Dr. Satnam Dutkar, the CEO of Council of International Chambers of Commerce. She's also the co-founder of UK and Vice President Honorary Degrees Council of IIU. I request you, ma'am, to kindly address the audience.
Hi, Rashmi. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, completely.
Thank you, Rashmi. You've been doing a wonderful job. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, my dear able friends, eminent speakers, guests. Thank you, each one of you that is making this drastic change come about. You know what I mean? Every step matters. Every step matters. And every day, all of you putting this hard work together, you know, this is going to be fruitful. This is our dream, and we're going to make it happen. So I just wanted to say thank you. The whole intention to come here is to appreciate every effort, every tiniest of effort that everyone is putting together. This globe, this is a family, you know, this IIU, this opportunity that IIU is putting forward for all of us. We are very grateful to our trustee, Dr. Roshni Lal, our co-founders, our COO, Mr. Piyush Pandit, for this platform, this wonderful platform. Our other co-founders, Mona, Jack Williams, Steve, our country head, Nada, our country head, Dr. Kevin, Professor Charles, our advisory board, Pratibha Mishra ji, our head of sustainability department, Kalyani Rao, and we've got such other remarkable people, Rabia ji, Dipshika, everyone there toiling, God knows how much. I see it. I see how they work, and I'm so grateful for making it happen. So like I said, you know, I only come here to thank everyone, because without each one of you, this will not exist and this will not happen. Thank you, Karina, as well. We've created today a women empowerment group for IIU, and we're so proud already. I think we got 200 plus members there. So thank you, ladies. You're doing such a wonderful job. And Professor Charles, I'm so sorry to say that that's a women's group, and we were not trying to be rude to say we can't have you. But like I said, you know, this opportunity that we're bringing, because this IIU for me is a family, and this family, the spirit, we want to carry the spirit, this feeling in every heart. We want to not only empower women, we want to empower every individual in terms of education. Like I said, you know, our motto is to bring about this education, you know, at a very nominal price. And at some point, we are trying to bring education free of cost to every part of the world, wherever it needs to be. So thank you. With that, I leave you all, and I hope to see you again. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Satnam. Thank you, please. We would like to give a word to our Africa head. So, Professor Charles, today you have a chance to talk.
Wonderful.
Hello, good day. It's a pleasure meeting us once again. Just like my able and Excellency Nada Alice said, I would also like to share my input concerning decent work and economic growth. This is goal number 8 of the SDG. In order to transform the world, we need to live sustainably. How do we live sustainably? Before the end of this topic, which I'm saying, before the end of this speech, we shall know there are 14 steps to live sustainably. Decent work and economic growth is all about promoting development-oriented policy that support productive activities, which include decent job creation, entrepreneurship, creative and innovation, encouraging the formalization and growth of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. What is the importance of this? It reduces inequality, which is SDG 10. And also 2, no poverty, which is SDG 1. The importance of decent work and economic growth, I'm saying. 3, gender equality, which is SDG 5. 4, peace, justice, and strong institution, SDG 16. How do we How do we achieve economic growth? One, lower interest rates by reducing cost of borrowing and increase consumers spending and investments. Two, increase real wages. If normal wages growth above inflation, then consumers have more disposable to spend. Higher global growth, leading to increased export spending. Decent work. Decent work is all about eradication of poverty. Decent work and quality employment helps to reduce inequality, poverty, empower people, especially women, young people, and most vulnerable, such as people with disability. There are 4 pillars of decent work. 1, employment creation. 2, right at work. 3, social protection. 4, social dialogue. What makes a decent job? Higher income. 2, flexibility work hour. 3, good opportunity for advancement. 4, job security. 5, interesting work. 6, autonomy. 7, helping others and you be useful. Helping others and you be useful. There are principles of decent work. Right at work, employment creation, social protection, social dialogue, and tripartism. There are 3 important things we must know in job. 1, reputation. 2, career advancement. 3, work balance. As a professional worker, we must have the following strengths. What are the very strengths as far as we are working in a decent job? 1, enthusiasm. We must have that interest in that job. 2, trustworthiness. 3, creativity. Creative, must be creative. 4, discipline. 5, patience. 6, respectfulness. 7, determination. And 8, dedication. What is the importance of economic growth? It increases state capacity and supply the public goods. Growth creates wealth, some of which goes directly into the pocket of employers and workers, improving their well-being. As people earn higher income and spend more money, this enables people to exit poverty and gain improved living standards. What are the negative effects of economic growth? 1, creative destruction. 2, natural social tension. 3, health challenges. 4, increase in income inequality. 5, increased pollution. And increased pollution. How can economic growth affect standard of living? This is when there is higher living standard because of GDP, gross domestic products, rises. There is more money in the domestic economy. This means that business can make more profit and therefore can pay employers higher wages and even hire more employees. This means that GDP per capita household rises. What are the relationship between economic development and economic growth? Economic development causes economic growth in the long and short run. It is important to focus on economic development through 1, improve HDI. 2, increase employment. 3, poverty alleviation, so as to achieve inclusive economic growth. Economic growth is increase in the country's total output or GDP. What are the 12 things must target in economic growth? What are the things must target? And this target, it enabled us to know what we should do. And there's an indicator that we assist to monitor that target. What are the targets? 1, sustainable economic growth. 2, diversify, innovative and upgrade for economic productivity. 3, promote policy to support job creation and growing enterprises. 4, improve resources efficiency in consumption and production. 5, food employment.
Professor Charles, can you speak a little slower because you are very passionate man and people don't understand now. They are writing to speak a little slow. We think that you gave us your opinion, your thoughts. So maybe if anybody wants to ask something, our speakers or something like that. Professor Charles, do you have, did I interrupt you, please? Are you finished? Or
Okay, let me conclude then. Let me conclude.
okay,
Should I do the
thank
conclusion?
you.
Let me conclude. In my conclusion, we look at, I said the other time, there are 14 steps we must do so as to make sure that we are able to have that sustainability, which is we should avoid eating of meat. We should also use a reusable alternative. Instead of using plastic, use the alternative. 3, we go paperless by avoiding wasting paper, receiving letters via email, and if necessary, we print, if necessary. 4, save energy. 5, the use of renewable energy. Recycling of used should be emphasized. And grow you, what you produce, you try to grow it. Every fruit you have, everything you have, try to grow it, have it your own. You might go and buy it, and maybe there's chemical there which you affect and harm the environment. Also, we should try as much as donating on use item, whatever thing we need or we have, we should donate it. As far as we are not using it, we try to save water in the air, within us and whatever within us. And we also try to buy fair trade products. What are the fair trade products? All those products that are being handled by sustainable production. 11, we should try as much as drive less. Instead of driving, we use bike or we use transport, public transport, in order to avoid that, to reduce that greenhouse gas emission. And also we try also, we should not waste food, wasting food, leftover food. We should not waste it. We should use it for our farming, or we save it, we safeguard it. And wearing of sustainable clothes that are not that so expensive, we try to wear it. And also use of economic friendly cleaning products. We try to have that. So having all this area, it calls for us to re-examine ourselves, making sure that we are doing the right thing. And to do the right thing, if we cannot do it alone, we need the assistance of God to help us in actualizing it. We are going to 2030, things will be normalized, everything will be fine. That's why we are working. We are doing our own awareness, creating that awareness, making some changes, trying to make sure our dignity, we respect our dignity. And most of the things we are doing, we should do them well, so that when it comes to that 2030, we'll be very happy and everybody will be okay. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure giving me this opportunity, even though you have forgotten me. But thank God that you called me on board. I still have many, but I thank God that I'm able to say one or two things. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Charles. We appreciate your passion, and we appreciate even what we don't understand, we understand by your body language.
Here we today have our Miss Parin Somani. So, Miss Parin Somani, the stage is yours.
Parin ma'am, you're on mute.
Hi, thank you very much, Ms. Nada, for inviting me here, and thank you very much, Rashmi, for introducing me as well. I would like to say a very big thank you to Pandit, founder and happy group of the SDGs member of the training, development and implementation, and Dr. Prabhavati ji as the core IIU core team members, and all the eminent speakers and all the colleagues and friends of IIU, all the esteemed speakers and organizing committee, to say a very big thank you having me here. And it is a very amazing, and it is my privilege and my pleasure to be with you all today, that IIU have implemented an amazing initiative to raise awareness on the sustainable development goals, to educate students to facilitate towards creating change. Thank you very much for all your hard work and all the participants that are engaging in promoting economic growth and decent work for every individuals in society through Sustainable Development Goal 8. It is only when workers have access to employment and they are productive in their position and the economics flourish and grows. We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected employment opportunity globally through SDG Goal 8. A framework can follow through the implementation of a combination of policies which are aimed at promoting growth and productivity, but without harming the environment. It generates decent work that respects employees' rights. It follows an effective pathway towards an inclusive growth. For example, workplace should possess a safe environment that is also conducive to good health with the safe practices and provision of microfinance available is not just for men, not just for males, but also to females. The world desperately needs your energy and your leadership. So when we look after our world will look after us. Remember, act with integrity and be dependable and leave your mark in the world through service to society. So once again, it's my pleasure to be here and be one of the speaker at this event, and it is my pleasure to be with you all once again. Thank you very much for having me, and namaste.
Before we leave, thank you so much, Pareen ma'am, for proposing the vote of thanks for today. And before we go, I would request one thing, something from all the participants present here, something which is really free, and that's just your smile. So requesting everyone to keep your cameras on. It's time to show a beautiful smiles. I think so it's priceless. Let's have our cameras on, and I request Ganesh sir to kindly click the moment. It could be broader, I think so. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. And it's time to conclude. Thanking everyone present here for this beautiful session. And to accomplish great things, we should not only believe, but act, plan, and execute. And see you tomorrow again with a new SDG goal. And namaste from India.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless. Thank you, Varundal. Bye for now.